In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create a 3D logo animation without plugins. Let's begin by creating a new composition. I'll call it logo. And then give it a width and height of 600. And a duration of 10 seconds. Next, we create another composition. Can leave that at comp 1 and give it a width and height of 1920 by 1080. The duration of 10 seconds. Click OK. Next, we go into the logo comp and import our logo. So I already have my logo. And drop the logo into the logo comp. Let's resize it. Let's increase the size of it. Go back into the main comp and drop the logo composition in there. Let's add a background for our animation. Right click, new, solid. Then you can name it background. Make sure it's white and click OK. Place the background behind the logo composition. Now we select the logo layer and convert it to a 3D by clicking on this icon here. Next, we are going to create an extrusion for our logo by offsetting the Z index. So let's press P for position. Let's right click and go to separate dimensions. So we have the Z position here. Let's click away and hold down Alt and click on the Z position. In the timeline here, you type in the expression index. So what this does is, as soon as you duplicate the logo comp, as many times as you duplicate it, it's going to offset it by a pixel. Now that we have our Z position set, before we go ahead and do the duplications, let's go into Effects and Presets and look for brightness and contrast. Select it and place it on the logo comp. Change the brightness to -150 and make sure your legacy support is selected. Come down to your logo comp and press Ctrl D repeatedly. So after you are done with your duplication, let's select the second layer, the second logo comp, and the last part one. So you hold down Shift, select that one and this. And let's click on the shy away button, this one. And come here and click on this, because we might not need all those compositions for now. Now select the one at the top and let's delete the brightness and contrast we added to that. And for the bottom one, we are going to add a drop shadow. So go back into Effects and Presets, look for drop shadow and drop it on that layer. come to the settings or the effect controls and change the softness to 100. Now if you want to see our extrusion, we can add a new camera by going into new here, camera, let's use a 50mm camera, click OK, and from there you can pick the orbit camera tool, rotate it sideways, and then you can see our extrusion or the 3D effect. Next, let's add our animation by creating a null object, a new null object, and select the pick on the camera, place it on the null, select the null object, make sure it's 3D by clicking on it, press R for rotation, and let's click on all the stopwatches by the X, Y, and Z to create keyframes. Select these keyframes and let's drag them to say 5 seconds, and with the playhead still at 0, click away, and then let's play with the angles. I'm going to change the X to 45, the Y to 30, and the Z to 10. You can play around with the angles depending on how you want your animation to start from. Okay, I'm going to leave my Z rotation at 5, and I'm going to change the Y rotation to 40. I think I'm okay with this. Let's press S for scale. Add a keyframe and go to 5 seconds and reduce the 100 you see here to something like 80. That will increase the size of the logo. Now select the null object layer, press U twice so that we see all our keyframes. Now select all keyframes, right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease. Let's go into the graph editor, right click, and make sure edit speed graph is selected. Now let's make some changes to the speed graph. Select one side, click on the handle and drag it in like this. So it's going to be from a very fast to a slow motion. Click on the graph editor and then you're going to have something like this. Next, let's add a shiny effect to our logo by introducing the CC light sweep onto the logo comp. So we go into effects and presets and look for CC light sweep. Here it is. Select it and place it on the top logo comp. And then let's make some changes here. The width, we can maintain it at 50. The sweep intensity, let's increase that one to 50. and reduce the edge intensity to say 20. Can leave the edge thickness as 4. And for the center, first let's bring our playhead to 0. And for the center, click on the center once and then we select the center and drag it to the bottom left corner of your logo. And then let's add a keyframe for that by clicking on the stopwatch. Now let's move to 5 seconds. Let's drag the center across the logo to the top right corner. So when I scrub through the playhead, you see it making a light sweep across your logo. Next, let's go into our logo comp, bring the playhead to 0 and add some scaling. Press S for scale and at the 0 mark or at the 1 second mark, press the stopwatch for a keyframe and at the 0 mark, reduce the scale to 0. Select both keyframes and let's easy ease them by pressing F9. Let's go into the graph editor, zoom it out a bit, and let's have something like this for the scaling. Let's go back to our main comp. So at the beginning, this is what we get. So before we render our composition, let's add a tagline. I'm going to select the horizontal type tool. I'm using super size 210 as my font style. And I'm going to change the color of the font to say light red. And I'm going to type the name, BRYTE. I'm going to align it, place it beneath the logo. I think I prefer the small caps, so let me change it to small caps. Align it once again. Press P for position. So at the 5 second mark is when our text should appear. So I enter a keyframe for that position. And at the 4 second mark, I click and drag my text down because I want it to come from the bottom of the screen. Select both keyframes I've just created, right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease them, or just press F9. When you're done with that, select the layer again and press T for opacity. So on the 4-second mark, I want the opacity to be 0. So I enter a keyframe for that by clicking on the stopwatch, and at the 5-second mark, I enter 100. So you have something like this. I think the text appears too quickly, so let's select both keyframes for the text and move it ahead a little bit. So that is after the logo has completed animating. Yeah, I think I prefer something like this. So with this animation we've created, we can make changes to the logo by just going into the logo comp and replacing this logo. So that's it for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video as well. Until I see you in the next tutorial, stay creative.